Program, B.S. English. Course, Literary Criticism. Topic, Coleridge on Dramatic Illusion/Willing Suspension of Disbelief. Prepared by, Dr. Shahryar Khan. Question. What are Coleridge's views on dramatic illusion? What does he mean by willing suspension of disbelief? Discuss. Introduction. In the history of literary criticism, willing suspension of disbelief is one of the often used phrases. In his book Biographia Literaria, Coleridge has used this phrase to indicate the nature of poetic or dramatic illusion. It describes the psychological state where a reader or a viewer set aside their faculty of disbelief towards the improbable element in a drama or poetic work. Since the time of Aristotle, critics were concerned with the acceptability of dramatic or poetic illusion. The concept of three unities was introduced so that the audience might not question what was being shown on the stage. The critics were of the view that, in the absence of unities, the audience would think all this is unreal and, thus, dramatic illusion would be violated. In the neoclassical age, both John Dryden and Dr. Samuel Johnson expressed their views on the nature of dramatic illusion. Though their views have some merits, it was Coleridge who said the last word on the subject, and finally put the controversy at rest. Point 1. In the neoclassical age, John Dryden expressed his views on dramatic illusion in his essay An Essay of Dramatic Poesy. His idea is rooted in the principle of verisimilitude or the appearance of truth. He acknowledges this fact that the audience never forgets that they are sitting in a theater. Therefore, dramatic illusion is not a literal deception of the senses. The audience do not actually believe that the stage is now a battlefield or a jungle. In fact, the experience is the result of a combined effort of the writer and the audience. The writer constructs the plot in such a logical and realistic manner that it prevents the audience to question it. Therefore, Dryden stressed the importance of three unities. If there are no unities, the play becomes improbable. Dryden's theory is rooted in the logical and realistic presentation. He does not talk about the psychological nature of the experience. On the other hand, Dr. Samuel Johnson, another prominent neoclassical critic, has a different point of view. He says that readers or audience delude themselves and believe that the events presented in the work of art are real. They keep this illusion as long as they are reading or viewing it. He says that the spectator knows from the first to the last that the stage is only a stage, and that the players are only players. Still, the spectator deliberately deludes himself and considers it a reality. Dr. Johnson's theory is grounded on the notion that the audience believe what is happening on the stage during the performance. Point 2. In his Biographia Literaria, Coleridge has discussed his theory in relation to the plan of lyrical ballads. He says that he and Wordsworth decided that Coleridge would write about supernatural subjects and present them as natural, and he would procure that willing suspension of disbelief for the moment, which constitutes poetic faith. The idea was that he would present supernatural subjects in such a way that, for the time being, the reader would willingly suspend his disbelief and would not question its validity. This treatment sends the judgment of the reader to sleep so that he can enjoy the work. The difference between Coleridge's notion and that of neoclassical critics is that Coleridge does not say that the readers or the audience believe in what they read or see. The poet does not require us to be awake or believe. He simply asks us that we should not disbelieve it for the time being. In other words, the audience need not think it real. They have to put their disbelief to sleep. Only a momentary suspension of disbelief is required for an enjoyment of a work of art. We are not under the illusion that it is reality. For the time being, we put our judgment to sleep. It is just like being in a dream with open eyes. When we are in a state of dream, our rational judgment is asleep. For the moment, we think whatever we see is real. This lasts for a short period of time. The same happens while reading or watching such a performance. We are in a state of dream but with open eyes. The poet does not expect us to believe that it is a forest. He simply asks us to suspend our judgment of it not being a forest. Our reason, or rational judgment or consciousness are willingly suspended. During that period, we would not question whatever we see. Conclusion. To conclude, we can say that Coleridge's explanation of dramatic illusion takes into account the psychological process that is involved in the enjoyment of a performance. Dr. Johnson says that the spectator knows that it is not reality but still deludes himself. Coleridge, on the other hand, is of the opinion that the spectator does not have to believe or delude himself. He just suspends his judgment for a brief period of time and does not question what is happening on the stage. He willingly suspends his judgment while he is reading a poem or watching a play. Coleridge put this controversy permanently at rest. I. A. Richards has commented on Coleridge's theory in these words: "It is not a giving up of our rational faculties, but a redirection of them toward an aesthetic end."